The day is September 16th, 2015. Today, we discuss much football, including Odell Beckham, a pair of socks being the quarterback for the Eagles, Stephen F. Austin University, and much, much more. Please enjoy our rousing discourse and phenomenal opinions. Thank you.
Devlin,
Joe Saley.
what is the worst sports video game you've ever owned?
NHL 2K9.
That is also the worst sports game that I've ever owned.
I do not know
Shut-
why I own that.
I bought it for $20, played it for a little more than an hour, and realized that it was like barely functioning.
It's horrible.
And
I
then
think I bought
returned
it.
it.
I think I bought it for $2 because I was like, fuck
Ugh.
it.
I might still have that somewhere in my house, but man, that game was hot trash. PlayStation 2 version of it too.
Best sports game you've ever bought.
Best sports game I've ever bought. Madden 12 is really good.
I'm gonna have to back Madden 10 or NBA 2K13 on this one.
Madden 10 is a very good game. Madden 12, better.
I never bought Madden 12. I was stuck with Madden 10 because I broke the sack record with Marcus Stroud.
That is a hell of an achievement considering,
He's a defensive tackle.
yes. Now, you have a new segment you would like to introduce this week.
All right, so this is Devlin's no-brainer, or is it, question of the week.
All right. I think I'm ready.
All right, so Sam Bradford,
Okay.
will he lose his job by the end of the season to A, Tim Tebow, B, a blind dog, 3, Mark Sanchez,
You laughed at that, but not a blind dog.
or D, a couch on the side of the road waiting for the garbage truck?
Can I pick E, socks?
Yes.
Socks? Hey man, socks pretty good. Socks could probably win, I don't know,
What if-
ACC Coastal.
what if-
Socks could probably win the ACC Coastal. A pair of socks. Don't sleep on them.
They're-
Also don't sleep in them.
I
Ah!
sleep in socks.
I do too. Anyway, probably Mark Sanchez to like seriously answer that question.
Seriously, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the blind dog is like a Doberman and like somehow mutantly they make like opposable thumbs for the Doberman. I mean, maybe.
Well, I don't know, because he could probably like, I don't know, hit the ball with his nose or something.
Probably. I mean, Bradford looked okay last night, but then again,
Yeah. So we have a interesting fall template, I think, for this dumb podcast. And what we each have is 3 games. It can be any sport at all. 3 games that were awesome this week, and 1 game that was the worst. And I will start it off. Auburn versus Jacksonville State was maybe my favorite college football game this whole week. This probably has to do with my just like horrible hatred of Auburn for like no reason. But god damn it, I do not like Auburn, and I think their fans are maybe the most annoying fans.
are there Auburn fans?
Tons, and they're so annoying.
I don't know. I mean,
War damn Eagle! War damn Eagle!
I like Auburn.
Why?
I don't know. I fell in love with Cam Newton that one season.
It's because you haven't been near Auburn fans.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not like, I love Auburn. It will be like, oh, yeah, I like Cam Newton. Oh, yeah, I like Sammy Coates. Oh, yeah, I like Michael Dyer. I mean, Cameron Artis-Payne's cool, I guess. It's not like I'm like, yeah!
Either way, Jacksonville State almost beat them. Jacksonville State looked pretty good. Maybe that was Auburn just being rusty
Do you
and,
think
I don't
the
know,
Jaguars?
overconfident.
Do you think the Jaguars could lose to Jacksonville State?
No, because no college team could beat a pro team. But Jacksonville, all right, what What state is Jacksonville State in?
Wouldn't it be in Florida?
It is actually Jacksonville, Alabama,
Wow.
which is like peak Jacksonville and also peak Alabama. That is, seriously, it's like Super Jacksonville is Jacksonville, Alabama. And that is time. I talked nothing about the actual game.
All right, so mine is one of my favorite games of those top three is Falcons versus Eagles. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking, ugh, an NFC fan. No. I have met...
The NFC is very good, by the way.
NFC
There's nothing wrong with being an NFC fan.
All right, well, I mean, I feel like when people think you're an NFC fan, they get kind of like, oh, bandwagon kind of guy.
Nah. All right, anyway,
All right,
talk.
So, I mean, I'm not a fan of either team. What I'm a fan of is Quintorris Julio Jones.
He's very good at football, as it turns out.
I have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Matt Bryant on my fantasy team. And I went into this game down by 30 points. And then Julio, oh, bless that man's soul. You know, I never thought he'd be the same after he cut those dreads, but oh boy, Julio Jones.
You're going to start up Julio Jones-ism?
You know what? I think I'm going to drop hating Doug Martin and just loving Julio.
That is a positive life choice.
I mean, Julio, and he's playing the Giants this week. No one's gonna cover Julio. Who on the Giants can cover Julio Jones?
DRC, maybe?
Yeah, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie might be able to, but I mean, he's gonna get horribly burnt at least 5 times.
Most likely.
I mean, Julio Jones is a specimen. I don't care if you're going to go Megatron or Des Bryant. Julio Jones does not get the credit he deserves.
10 seconds left. Eagles also looked pretty bad for about half of that game and then got real bad right near the end.
It's a Falcons thing. It's a Falcons thing where they do really amazing in the first half and then they start to suck.
That is true. All right. That is time. The second game that I really liked this week was Bucks and Titans. This was a game that I really wanted to watch, but sadly was not on local television. Instead, Denver, Baltimore was, and I thought that game was boring as sin because I hate Joe Flacco and Peyton Manning looked awful. But man, Marcus Mariota, he is a quarterback. That guy.
I didn't see anything about the game. How did David Cobb or Dorial Green-Beckham even touch the ball?
David Cobb is on injured reserve.
See, I didn't know that. That's probably why Spanky did so well.
I actually don't know what Green Beckham's stat line was, but man, Marcus Mariota looked real good.
He connected really well with Kendall Wright, right?
Yeah. Kendall Wright looks like someone you should pick up in fantasy if you don't. And Terrence West also played for the Titans yesterday and sucked. So, I mean, looks like a great trade. Dorial Green-Beckham did not have a catch yesterday.
All right, I thought so. I mean, he's another one of those guys that I feel like if Mariota turns out to be really good, he's going to be a Julio.
Yep.
Because realistically, we'll never have another Megatron, or we'll never have another Jerry Rice. But
this is true. Also, Jameis Winston looked real bad. Jameis Winston, by the way, tweet of the week from Ryan Nanny was Jameis Winston opens up his cell phone, message from Christian Ponder saying "one of us" or something like that. It was so good. Jameis Winston looked awful. And I bet they wish they had drafted Mariota. And that is time.
TCU versus Stephen F. Austin.
Why on earth did you think this was a good game?
Why did I think this was a good game? Because multiples of 7. TCU won this game 70-7. When does that happen? A lot, because, I mean, the thing goes by 7, but still. You beat a team by multiplying their score by 10? I mean, come on.
Okay, that's not true. What if it's 10-1?
Well, I mean, when's that gonna happen?
There is a 1-point safety now. Bryce Brown just got released from the Bills.
Shit, really?
Yeah. So that happened. But
Remember when LaShawn McCoy last year tweeted that Bryce Brown was gonna take everyone's jobs, and now he's on our team?
But yeah, so anyway, what else about this game jumped out at you other than a beautifully, I don't know,
aesthetic score line? I don't know.
Yes.
Trayvon Boykin showing that he's fucking Trayvon Boykin.
He's pretty good at football, as it turns out.
I mean, Trayvon Boykin is a talent. I mean, every year there's a guy that before the season starts are always like, this quarterback's going to be really good. And then that quarterback one year was Geno Smith. So, I mean, let's hope this doesn't happen to Trayvon Boykin. And then
Oh, man! They play in the same conference!
Yeah, remember that one year that they were like, Geno Smith's going to win the Heisman! And he did horrible, and he fell to the second round and was drafted after...
Trayvon Boykin, please don't. Please. Please, Trayvon Boykin. We don't need more Geno Smith.
The Big 12 is just a sad, desolate land of quarterbacks.
Yes, it is, other than Trayvon Boykin and whoever Baylor's trotting out there who's white and probably okay.
Well, no, I mean, like, once they reach the NFL. Like, Vince Young? Wow.
That's time. That's time right there. That was a loud-ass timer, by the way.
That was loud. Oh, yeah, it's really loud.
Anyway, my final best game of the week was Boise State BYU. I did not watch this whole game.
I heard that it came down to the wire, right? And it really fucked up things for Vegas.
Yes. So, like, BYU ended up winning on, I don't know, pretty similar fashion to how they beat whoever they played last week. Nebraska.
Yeah, when they beat the Huskers. Okay.
Yep. And they won on a last-second big long pass.
I saw the pass.
Taylor Mangum looks pretty good, and I think BYU is on track to be West Notre Dame, except with a decent quarterback. Unlike, well, like...
Speaking of fans I hate...
This is a topic for a different time.
Okay.
But, like, Brigham Young, seriously, they look like they could end up ranked because they have a soft college football, not in a conference schedule, kind of like what Notre Dame does, where it's like, we have a storied rivalry with Purdue, we can't not play them every year, and it's like, okay, you just want to make sure you have one win every year.
Don't they have, like, a game against Army every year, too?
Pretty sure. That sounds right. Definitely Navy, definitely USC, too. Either way, Brigham Young looks pretty good.
Well, USC looks good this year.
Either way, Boise State, I kind of thought they'd roll, but no. They lost week 2, and this could mean that BYU might do some things. And that's time.
Finally, for the games, I have Bills versus Colts, and don't hate on me for this because I'm from Buffalo, and we're both from Buffalo, and we both currently still live in Buffalo. I feel like it's just kind of showed that it's the beginning of maybe this Rex Ryan era. Because this wasn't against, like... This was an opening weekend against the Jets. This was the Colts.
Yeah. Andrew Luck looked... Like, seriously, this was Bills' defense minus Marcel Darius, who is now making more money than most quarterbacks do.
I don't know. We needed to keep him. I'm not against that. I mean...
But, so like, still, even then, Corbin Bryant looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And the Bills looked really impressive, you know.
I feel like
versus a team that like, you know, got blown out by New England. But, yeah, still looked good.
The thing about every time people start hating on Stephon Gilmore, he goes out and has a really good game.
This is true. Ronald Darby as well.
Because the thing, I don't get how anyone can ever just be like, yeah, Stephon Gilmore's horrible. All of the best cornerbacks, the only time you ever see them is when
they get beat.
Is when they get beat because they don't throw them any other time because they're
For
covering
instance,
so well.
For instance, Vontae Davis this week, you never saw him because he blanketed Sammy Watkins so well that Sammy got targeted like 3 times and didn't have a catch.
The whole thing about this Bills game, I was happy. I mean, I didn't see it because I was at work, which upsets me to beyond belief. I requested all Sundays off now. I'm happy to see the Bills in this fashion, and I got to see the Tyrod pass to Percy Harvin. You know, it's just a little surreal to me. I don't know if it is to you, but like hearing that we have Tyrod Taylor and hearing that we have, I mean, it's not like Tyrod Taylor's a household name. It's just that like I saw him at Virginia Tech, and I just thought he'd be a backup in Baltimore his entire career.
You're like 30 seconds over time, but keep going.
And I mean, Percy Harvin, I mean, he went to the Seattle Seahawks, and you never thought you'd think he'd stay there. LaShawn McCoy, God, he was taken first overall in everyone's fantasy league last year.
It is a weird thing. Bills are definitely very odd, and it'll be interesting to see how the whole season pans out. I bet they will either be like 4-12 or like 10-6.
Remember the one season we went like 5-1.
Yep, and then stumbled to a finish of 6-10.
Yes, that is the Bills.
And so now we can move on to our bad games.
Wonderful.
And my bad game is 49ers and Vikings last night, which was just a brutal, gross, disgusting football game. And, like, the only light was Carlos Hyde, who is really good.
He looked really good.
Yep. And so Carlos Hyde was definitely, like, the only takeout. Other than, like, man, Jared Hayne, who is a former rugby league player, very, very much hyped out of Down Under. There was this live blogger who was from Australia, and he live blogged that whole game despite not really knowing football that well.
Okay.
It was so good. It was so good. That was the best part of that game because the rest of it was so boring. And, like, you should just, like, see him being like, wow, we're taking a lot of breaks.
I don't like the Niners anymore.
Did you ever like the Niners?
I used to kind of like to watch them play, and now they're horrible to watch play. Like, I'd rather see the Mike Singletary Niners than these ones.
Ugh.
Cause I don't like how they're just like, yeah, we're gonna take Torrey Smith now. Like, come on. I liked him in black and purple. As much as you hate Joe Flacco, Torrey Smith was amazing in the postseason.
That game sucked, and I have 20 seconds, and I'm going to throw an honor. Oh God, Buffalo at Penn State was a horrible football game that fought a war of just brutal, bloody attrition against everyone watching it, and it was awful. And Christian Hackenberg looks terrible, and everything is evil because it was scoreless at halftime, and it was Buffalo versus Penn State, and that's time.
Oh, Hackenberg. Okay, so my bad game of the week is Raiders versus Bengals.
That was a stinker.
I don't understand. I mean, people are going to be like, well, yeah, it was the Raiders game. What did you think? I don't know. Amari Cooper, maybe I thought Khalil Mack. Maybe I thought Derek Carr. No. I guess Andy Dalton's still going to be not Andy Dalton, and then he's going to show Andy Dalton in the postseason. Sick of Andy Dalton getting this job. I just want A.J. McCarron, or for all I could tell, I would love it if just randomly you saw Tim Couch in a Bengals uniform. I'd rather see that than see Andy Dalton play where Andy Dalton says, hey, I have 2 really good running backs and a really good wide receiver. Oh, and look, Tyler Eifert. He's really good too. But my talent is awful, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to do okay in the season, and then when we get to the postseason, we're going to lose to the Cardinals. But we can't because that's a different division. I'm just saying Cardinals lost that bad too.
Yeah. So Andy Dalton's kind of like a spouse who will like try really hard sometimes, but then most of the time not show any effort. So like what you think is, oh wow, he's really capable of caring and trying and doing his best, but then most of the time he just puts in no effort and like never sees the kids, which is like doubly disappointing because you know that there's something there. There's something to it.
It's like the Jackson 5.
That's an interesting...
You have little Michael Jackson, who is A.J. Green, and there's so much talent in little A.J. Green. Well, I mean, you could use Jeremy Hill for that. But you understand what I'm saying. The Jackson family was just all this wonderful talent, and then you have their abusive father, Andy Dalton.
That's time. Andy Dalton is everyone's abusive father. And by the way, Jim Tomsula looks like everyone's drunk uncle. Drunk, slightly overweight uncle.
No, you mean like weird bachelor friend of dad uncle that you call uncle, or like...
Yeah, actually that way more. Dad's like Vietnam buddy.
It's like, oh, him and dad used to take an AA class together.
Yep. Moving on to our next segment. Each of us have one favorite dumb headline this week in the sports world. And I would like to start with Marco Rubio is talking about them Noles. He's talking about the Noles. And Marco Rubio is clearly a big Florida Gators fan. And he ripped Florida State. Let me go get that quote, actually, because it's fantastic. Marco Rubio's pretty young, pretty hip, I think.
What do you mean? Like that?
He's a Republican, but he's still young.
You know what? You can't have a conservative that's like really hip. It's not like, oh yeah, he don't like abortion, but he's hip for the young people.
Marco Rubio said, "Look, I don't have anything against Florida State." He said, basically setting himself up to like drive home the sword. I think there has to be a college where people that can't get into Florida can go to college, and that's why we have Florida State. So basically, Marco Rubio is talking about them Noles. Hashtag talk about them Noles.
Talk about them Noles.
Talk about them Noles. And FSU fans suck. FSU fans are the worst fans.
They have a really good chant.
I don't care.
Come
they have the
Chop
worst
is a really good chant.
I mean, that's true, but still, their fans are evil, and I love it when I'm reading a Bills article, and then some idiot in the comments will say, "I just don't understand what this has to do with the Noles. Why?
Talk about them Noles.
Why aren't we talking about them Noles?
We gotta talk about them Noles a little more, man."
So, Marco Rubio, this could be disastrous for him.
What do you mean?
Sports and politics are, like, basically the same thing in Tallahassee. So, like, what he's done is made many FSU fans be like, I don't like Marco Rubio.
He doesn't have Mia Khalifa's vote anymore.
He's been talking about them Noles.
Talking about them Noles.
Marco Rubio has been talking smack about them Noles, and as such, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, who is a huge Iowa State fan.
He's a Cyclones fan?
He showed up to El Axico!
The El Axico?
He showed up to El Axico, man.
That's amazing.
And that's all I have to say about Marco Rubio talking about them Noles.
Talking about them Noles.
Hashtag talk about them Noles. So, what is your headline
I was
this week?
kind of split between two.
All right.
I really like, this is super simple, and I feel like this is not something that anyone should find entertaining, but it simply went, Pierre Paul is also missing tip of thumb.
It can be summed up in a statement, but...
They couldn't be
Pierre
like,
Paul,
he's also missing tip of thumb.
Also missing tip of thumb.
Also, it wasn't like, oh, Jason Pierre-Paul seems to be missing a tip of his the tip of his thumb. It's Pierre-Paul also missing tip of thumb.
Yeah, he is a big old dummy and blew off his fingers doing the exact same thing that that, I don't know, mom said to you 500 times is like, don't play with fireworks, you'll blow your hand off. Pierre-Paul had that happen to him. That happened to him. It's real.
Did they burn off his franchise tag too? What if a franchise tag was something you had to carry around with you? And it was it was like a tag.
How big is it? Well, but how big is it?
How big would the tag be?
Oh man, I just thought of something great. What if the franchise tag was like this big stupid hat, so that way it's like, hey, you don't have to negotiate. We will bring you back, but you have to wear this stupid ass hat.
But it's a lot of money.
Yep.
Now the other one I really liked was the one about Marshawn Lynch's mother.
Calling for firing the offensive coordinator. Seriously, that happened.
I want to know what that was like, because it's not like, no offense to Mrs. Lynch, or however she goes. I mean, you raised a child who...
It's probably not Mrs. Lynch.
It's whatever, whatever it is. Whatever it may be, you raised a child that has hit a person with a car and drove away from this. Well, I'm just saying, don't, hate on Seattle. They're too stoned to even give a fuck.
Darrell Bevell is not, what does Pete Carroll do? Does he call the plays there?
I feel like, Pete Carroll is Pete Carroll is the Joe Biden of NFL.
That's reasonable, because he's not great, but he's mildly entertaining.
Yeah, he just seems like he'd probably be a cool guy to get coffee with.
He'd probably be pretty cool to go to a El Asico with. Who wouldn't want to go to El Asico?
You know what? It's like the difference between the two. You could have him, or you could have Lovie Smith, who's gonna take the gang down to Bojangles.
Talk about them Noles.
Talking about them Noles. And I don't know. I feel like you can't just be like, oh, I want him fired. Well,
no,
he didn't give the ball to my son. A bunch of times. So what? You lost to St. Louis. They have a good defense. This isn't super news.
St. Louis could be really good this year.
I say that every year, and did you notice that the guy...
They never get good! They never do!
The running back they used was not a running back we talked about last week, and I'm upset beyond belief. They used Benny Cunningham.
They used Benny Cunningham because all of their other guys were out. Also, didn't Isaiah Pede play yesterday as well? Didn't they cut him and then bring him back?
I feel like Isaiah Pede is the Ted Ginn of running backs.
That's probably true. But man, Marshawn Lynch's mom needs to chill. She needs to just take a breath and chill. Also, I'm pretty sure. Yep, Isaiah Pede has 78 career yards rushing.
Career.
Yes.
He was the return specialist for a while, right?
Maybe.
All right. I mean.
But yeah. That is it with our dumb headlines. Hopefully. Hopefully other presidential candidates talk about them Noles.
We're gonna talk about them Noles, and we're gonna just talk about them Noles.
Yeah. So on to our next segment, which is one fantasy player we loved and one we hated. This week, I loved Jordan Matthews and DeAndre Hopkins. Jordan Matthews will catch so many passes this year, and every single one of them will probably be 10 yards.
You don't think Aguilar will grow?
Aguilar didn't do much yesterday,
no,
but
he did not.
But man, Jordan Matthews doesn't drop. I almost said Jordan Matthews never drops the ball. They lost the game because Jordan Matthews dropped the ball. But he had 10 catches, 100 yards. What else do you want from him? Although he was 1 yard away from getting that touchdown. So that sucks. But DeAndre Hopkins was on my bench,
That's all. I'm sorry.
and the player that I hated was played ahead of them, and Calvin Johnson was also. What fantasy player did you love this week?
Oh, you already know.
Julio! Quintores Lopez-Jones?
Oh my lord, Julio Jones.
He looked real good at football.
I mean, I took him high in our draft, and Julio is fucking Julio, man.
Yeah.
Roddy White, wasn't it before Julio came in, Roddy White was considered, like, one of the best?
Yep.
Now Julio's there. Do you even know who Roddy White is?
Poor Roddy White.
Julio cut his dreads to be like, look, I'm above you now.
Yep.
Julio's great. I love Julio for that.
Yeah.
Having Julio on my fantasy team is a great thing.
Julio Jones.
You know who could really be good for Julio?
Who?
Joe Flacco.
Shut up. Anyway, one fantasy player that I hated this week because I have him in both of my leagues and he laid an absolute stinker is Odell Beckham Jr.
I think he's all hype. I mean, he's good, but
he's really good at football and he will pick apart bad defenses. This week they play in Atlanta and they will destroy Desmond Trufant and co.
Well, I mean, if you can't destroy the Cowboys secondary...
Eli Manning being the worst. I also started Eli Manning.
Wow.
Tie between Odell Beckham and Eli Manning for that category. But, man, Jesus Christ, he was not good.
Is he ever? I mean, Eli. I meant Odell.
Eli,
But Odell's okay.
Yeah,
he has really good games sometimes.
Eli should be a good fantasy quarterback because he's not very good, but he passes all the time.
Yeah.
But, man, seriously, Odell Beckham, please. Or else you are getting taken out of my lineup. And who was the player you hated the most this week?
Bishop Sankey.
Bishop Sankey had a great game, though, Devlin.
I don't think you realize why, though. One, the guy I was playing this week, last minute, literally added Bishop Sankey to his lineup, like, instantly. Like, picked him up and then threw him in the lineup. And I'm like,
Yep.
Bishop Sankey. Bishop Sankey, I was just like, Bishop Sankey sucks, I don't care. And then, not to mention last year, I drafted Bishop Sankey thinking, yeah, Titans don't have a running back. Bishop Sankey's gonna do real good.
This is a poor assumption.
No, Bishop Sankey did horrible last year, so I got rid of him. I think I traded him. I was like, fuck Bishop Sankey. So I got rid of Bishop Sankey. Now he's gonna do great, and I'm afraid Doug Martin's gonna do great because I had Doug Martin for, like, I've had him twice, and both times was disappointment Doug Martin years. I've had my heart broken by Doug Martin. I've had my heart broken by Bishop Sankey. You think I want to have my heart broken again? No. So fuck you, Bishop Sankey.
Just ever so rude to Bishop Sankey. What did Bishop Sankey ever do to you?
I just told you.
This is when we were like, oh man, Devlin got touched by a bishop when he was 5, and ever since then he just hates bishops, and he sees Bishop Sankey, and then when he sees Sankey, he thinks of the stanky leg, which is what the bishop did while he did it. And
Jesus
then,
Christ.
yeah, and then, therefore, Bishop Sankey just, like, makes your head explode.
Bishop Sankey.
And that's all we got for
Good old football.
yeah.
But now, speaking of football, let's hop across the pond and talk about football.
It's time for me to take a nap. Take it away, Dublin.
All right, so I only have 2 things this week. My team, Arsenal, had beat Stoke 2-0, which was great because go Gunners. But
Isn't Stoke terrible?
Stoke is Peter Crouch.
That's a name that means nothing to me.
Okay,
Devlin.
let me explain Peter Crouch.
All right.
Let me think of a guy to compare him to. Peter Crouch is good, but he's a goofy guy. I'm trying to think of someone to compare him to.
Nick Swisher, perhaps?
No, I don't know baseball too well. We're talking like goofy looking. Okay, so he's like really tall, really ugly. Well, no, I don't want no.
Andrew Luck.
No offense, no, but he's not that good.
All right.
He's not like top of the prime. No, he's Chris Cooley.
Man, that no one gets out of that comparison happy, I think.
Well, he's like, you know how Chris Cooley had the hair? This dude just is like goofy looking, and like he's scored a bicycle kick before, and he's scored like huge games for England, but he plays for Stoke.
Stoke is bad.
He plays for Stoke, and he's been there forever, and he's just like this goofy dude, and he's hilarious looking, and so like that's what Stoke has. But on to what else I was gonna say. I was gonna say, Champions League game. Manchester United is playing PS Eindhoven right now. PSV Eindhoven. So, in the you know what the Champions League is, right?
Yes.
All right. So, in that game, Manchester United bought a player. I think last year. We were gonna say last year, like last year in the off season, or their transfer window. And they paid like $32 million for Luke Shaw, and he was a winger from Southampton. He literally just straight up broke his leg in the game. Broke his leg. Like, on the field running. Broke his leg. Like, it looks really bad, and I was just like, oh well.
Well, I mean, that doesn't sound great.
No.
That sounds painful.
Sounds like it hurt.
So, do we have any other soccer news?
Soccer, that's all I got.
Footy.
Footy.
So baseball exists.
Baseball's a thing, I think, still, right?
People watch it, and like literally, all you need to know about baseball was that my oh god, how old is he? 84-year-old grandfather loves baseball.
I feel like all old dudes love baseball.
Exactly.
I remember my grandpa used to tell me how much he loved some Blue Jays player. I was like, I don't care.
He was a big Paul Moeller fan?
No, it was, I want to say Reyes.
But, like, man, also, my grandfather is from Florida, so, like, it all loops around to talking about them Noles here on the Sports Ball Podcast.
Everything comes back to know, because everybody love to know, and everybody talking about them knows.
Everyone is talking about them Noles. Anyway, do we have anything else?
No, that is all, I think.
Do we have anything else?
Oh, of course. This is how we're going to end it, because we do not, instead of doing the spelling thing this time, I have a different way to end it. So,
All right.
I was cleaning my room.
Always fun. You always find good shit.
Cleaning my room, and I used to, I years ago, I must have bought like a draft pack.
I have one of those from 2005, and I have rookie cards of like every Premier 2005 rookie.
I have Senderic marks. I got Senderic marks in that book. That's not the point of this question. So I had it was like a dual card, okay?
Dual card.
Dual card, and it was like rivals, and it was it would be Big Ten. So one of them was a running back from the Iowa Hawkeyes.
All right.
The other running back was from Ohio State. We're talking 2009.
Oh, this is easy.
Name those running backs.
Shit, wait, hold on.
Do you need any hints?
No, and I'm not gonna look this up.
Here, can I just give you...
No!
I'm just gonna tell you, like, what their status is if they even play anymore.
All right. Fine, go ahead.
Ohio State running back no longer plays. No, wait, yeah, the Ohio State and the Iowa one is like, he's there, but he's not at the same time. Like, he's on a team.
All right, so, Iowa State?
No, Iowa. I meant to say Iowa Hawks.
All right.
Hawkeyes.
All right. Ohio State.
Ohio State and Iowa.
Ohio State. And he played in the NFL. Was he drafted?
Oh, I believe so, yeah.
Then it's got to be Beanie Wells.
Correct. It is
All right. Beanie Wells. Iowa seems much harder because...
All right. Let me give you a hint.
There is one guy who I'm thinking of, but he was drafted in 2009.
Jets.
Yeah, he was drafted in 2009.
Yeah, these were like draft.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, it is. It's Sean Green.
Bless Sean Green.
Sean Green, by the way, is not on a team.
He's not on the Titans? This is upsetting.
They cut him.
That is upsetting beyond belief.
I'm pretty sure that, I don't know, that a muscular traffic cone could run the ball faster and more
You know why?
efficiently than Sean Green. Pretty sure that the stupid pair of socks could...
Do you know why he was cut?
Why was he cut?
Probably because them Titans were talking about them Noles.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to today's edition of the Sports Ball Podcast. Remember to follow and repost this on SoundCloud, tweet it out to all your friends, and heck, even send this video on email to everyone you know, including your boss. You'll probably get a promotion. Thank you for listening, and have a delightful day.